When you're trying to upgrade a conference room, the biggest question isn't what does it do, but will it actually make my meetings run smoother without breaking the bank? You've probably spent a few evenings scrolling through endless specs, worrying that you'll end up with a system that looks great on paper but turns your daily calls into a juggling act of muting, adjusting volume, and fighting with camera angles. The risk is real, spending a couple $1,000s on a solution that looks impressive but ends up being a constant source of frustration, or worse, sitting unused because it's too complex for the team. That's why I'm going to walk through the Poly Studio X70 video bar and its TC8 touch controller, focusing on the practical side of things, how it fits into a real-world room, who will actually benefit, and where the money is really going. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's set the stage. The X70 is marketed as an all-in-one 4K video bar that combines a camera, speaker, and microphone array into a single sleek unit, with an optional TC8 controller that lets you adjust everything from a touchscreen. It's built for large conference rooms, so the expectation is that you'll get crystal clear video and room-filling audio without needing separate devices. In practice, the biggest factor is how the bar integrates with the room's existing furniture and how the controller feels after a few weeks of daily use. From a setup perspective, the X70 is relatively straightforward. The unit mounts on the wall or sits on a desk, and you run a single HDMI cable for video, a USB-C for power and audio, and an Ethernet connection for network stability. The TC8 controller snaps onto the side of the bar, so there's no extra desk clunk. The initial wiring can be done in under an hour if you have a technician handy, which is a major plus compared to some competing systems that require separate speaker crates and MIC pods. The real test, though, comes after you power it on. When I fired up the X70 with Microsoft Teams, the video feed popped up in 4K pretty quickly, and the auto-framing algorithm did a decent job of keeping the main speaker in view. The camera's field of view is wide enough to capture a typical 12-person table, but it does struggle a bit when people sit at the far ends and raise their hands. The automatic zoom is helpful, yet you'll find yourself manually adjusting focus from time to time if your meeting room layout changes, a common scenario if you occasionally rearrange chairs for workshops. The TC8 controller makes those tweaks smoother. You can tap the zoom icon and slide to a tighter view without touching the laptop. The touchscreen is responsive, though it can be a little finicky with sweaty fingers during long sessions. Audio is where the X70 really tries to shine. The built-in speaker array is calibrated to fill a room up to 30 feet wide, and for a standard medium-sized boardroom they deliver a clear, balanced sound that doesn't feel tinny. In a test call with 10 participants, the speakers maintained consistent volume even when several people spoke at once. The microphone array picks up voices from across the room fairly well. You don't need to shout to be heard, and background noise is suppressed enough that clacking keyboards don't dominate the mix. However, the microphone's range does have a noticeable drop-off when the speaker moves to the far corners, so if your room is more than 30 feet in diameter you'll need supplemental mics. That limitation is not a deal-breaker for most corporate conference rooms, but it's something to be aware of if you're planning a large auditorium-style space. One of the biggest practical strengths of the X70 is its software integration. The bar works seamlessly with Teams, Zoom, and other major platforms, showing up as a single video device rather than a scattered set of peripherals. This eliminates the headache of having to configure separate audio and video drivers on each computer. The controller also stores a handful of favorite meeting URLs, so you can start a Zoom call with a single tap, great for front desk staff who need to kick off meetings without digging through laptops. On the flip side, the system's all-in-one design hides a few hidden trade-offs. The device does not support multi-room sync, so you can't easily link two X70 bars for a split-room scenario without additional hardware. Also, the controller's touch screen lacks a backlight, making it hard to see in a dimly lit room unless you turn on a nearby light. It's a small annoyance, but it does add a step to your pre-meeting routine if your conference room isn't brightly lit. Who should buy the Poly Studio X70? If you manage a medium-sized boardroom, think 10 to 15 participants where you need a reliable video feed and clear audio, and you want the convenience of a single device that integrates with Teams and Zoom out of the box, this is a solid candidate. It's especially valuable for organizations that lack a dedicated,